The story opens with a vivid childhood memory. A very young boy is spending the day at an amusement park together with his mother. The place is filled with noise, laughter, bright colors, and movement, and the child is happily absorbed in play, fully trusting that his mother is nearby. At some point, he looks around, expecting to see her watching him as usual, but she is gone. At first, he assumes she has simply stepped aside for a moment. He waits, then looks again. Panic slowly creeps in. When he finally wakes up, he is no longer at the park. His grandfather is by his side and soon takes him to a doctor. After medical examinations, the doctors deliver shocking news. The boy has developed an extremely rare condition. As a result of the trauma, he is no longer able to recognize faces or distinguish one person from another. Everyone appears the same to him, stripped of identity. Years go by. The frightened child grows into adulthood. As is common in dramatic television stories, he becomes wealthy, powerful, and strikingly attractive. From the outside, his life seems perfect. However, beneath the surface lies a serious problem. His illness remains with him and his personality has grown difficult. He is arrogant, self-centered, and emotionally exhausting to be around. Because of this, no romantic relationship ever lasts, and even professional connections quickly fall apart. The only person who consistently stays by his side is his cousin Nan, who also happens to be his closest friend. Nan acts as his assistant, problem solver, and emotional buffer. When Nan calls him one day, the hero reacts with irritation, not because of work, but because his favorite chocolate drink has not arrived yet. Their conversation reveals that the latest secretary quit and disappeared just like all the others. The hero shows no concern and orders Nan to deal with the situation, demanding that a new secretary appear immediately. This situation engages Nan's mother, who is also the hero's aunt. She strongly dislikes how her nephew treats Nan, constantly overworking him and taking him for granted. She scolds Nan for sacrificing his own health and insists that they must hire a new secretary as soon as possible. The story then shifts focus to the female lead, a young woman named Ri. She works alongside her mother delivering cakes. She's skilled, reliable, and well-liked by customers. Despite having graduated long ago, she has never managed to secure a job in her field. When she returns home one day, she overhears her mother and grandmother talking sadly about her bad luck and repeated failures. No matter how many interviews she attends, she is always rejected. Feeling like a burden to her family, Ri decides that she will give everything she has to the next interview opportunity. She prepares carefully, determined not to fail again. The following day, as Ri gets ready, the hero arrives at his office. The maid brings his long-awaited chocolate drink, but it disappoints him. Irritated, he suddenly decides to move the secretary interviews forward, wanting to finish the process as quickly as possible. At the same time, Ri is already on her way to the interview when she receives a call informing her that the schedule has been changed. She panics and rushes as fast as she can. Meanwhile, Nan learns that the hero changed the plans without warning. The staff informs him that all candidates are present except one. When Nan looks through the files, he becomes interested in Ri's impressive background and asks them to wait for her. Ri finally arrives, visibly nervous and flustered. She struggles to compose herself. The hero enters the room and, unable to recognize her face as usual, immediately begins criticizing her and making cruel remarks about her appearance. Instead of silently enduring it, Ri stands her ground. She firmly defends herself, explains that she arrived as fast as possible, and points out that they were the ones who changed the appointment. She demands an apology in front of everyone. The hero dismisses her words and coldly announces that she is rejected anyway, adding that he dislikes how she looks. Deeply hurt, Ri realizes that he judges people solely on appearances. Refusing to back down, she begins speaking confidently about the company, its values, and its history, demonstrating exceptional knowledge. Her intelligence and confidence irritate him, yet they also impress him. Against his better judgment, he decides to give her a chance. In his office, he reviews her resume and discovers that she has always been outstanding, with a sharp mind and extraordinary memory. He offers her the job under harsh conditions. She must completely change her attitude and appearance. When she protests, he declares that it is no longer optional. He gives her a massive amount of paperwork and orders her to memorize everything perfectly or be fired. Shocked by his cruelty, Ri leaves. Nan follows her and gently encourages her, convincing her that enduring this challenge could change her life. Eventually, she agrees to transform her style. They go shopping, buy new clothes, and change her hairstyle. During this time, they grow closer and Ri tells Nan the story behind her name, which sparks his curiosity and suspicion that there is more to her past. When Ri returns home transformed, her mother is stunned and initially accuses her of stealing money. Once Ri explains, her mother is overjoyed and believes her daughter's luck has finally changed. That night, Ri studies tirelessly and succeeds in memorizing everything. The next day, she returns to the company. Nan is amazed by her transformation. The hero, although unable to recognize her face, is subconsciously impressed. He orders her to prepare his favorite chocolate drink, threatening to fire her if she fails. She succeeds perfectly. Shocked, he demands to know how she learned the recipe. She casually explains that her mother taught her. This gives her leverage over him. Their power struggle continues as he tries to force her to share the recipe. Later, he takes her to an elite party, relying on her to guide him due to his condition. At the event, a woman named Tanya flirts with him and looks down on Ri. Ri responds with quiet sarcasm. Things escalate when Ri temporarily loses him in the crowd, triggering his panic. They argue and tensions rise. Later, Ri identifies a powerful investor who turns out to be the same woman insulting her earlier. Ri impresses the investor with her knowledge, securing a major deal, but ruins it at the last moment by bluntly criticizing the investor's sister's brand. The investor leaves angry. The hero explodes in rage. Ri, devastated, walks away. Nan finally stands up to the hero, warning him that if he loses this secretary, he will not help again. Realizing his mistake, the hero runs after Ri, desperate not to lose her. At the same moment that everything seems to be collapsing around her, the heroine reaches her emotional breaking point. Exhausted by humiliation, fear, and uncertainty, she feels as though her life has trapped her in an endless loop of disappointment. Overwhelmed by her thoughts, she wanders to a bridge, standing alone with the weight of everything she has endured pressing down on her chest. Elsewhere, the hero is consumed by guilt. For the first time, he truly reflects on his behavior and realizes how cruel his words and actions have been. The idea that he may have pushed her too far terrifies him. Driven by panic, he goes out searching for her, fearing the worst. When he finally spots her standing on the bridge, his heart nearly stops. From a distance, it looks as though she is about to jump. Without thinking, he rushes toward her, desperate to stop what he believes could be a tragedy. She screams, not because she intends to harm herself, but because she needs release. Every suppressed emotion bursts out of her at once. She yells into the empty air, letting out anger, pain, and frustration that she has held inside for far too long. Only after she finishes does she realize that someone is standing right in front of her. He heard everything, every word, every cry. Soon after, Nan arrives. He calls her by her real name, and the moment the hero hears it, something feels off. The name stirs an unfamiliar sense of unease inside him. He cannot explain why, but it resonates in a way that unsettles him deeply. Nan interrupts the tension, telling the hero to ignore the name for now and focus on the real issue, what is going to happen next. He boldly states that if the hero fires her, he will personally hire her instead, even if that means forcing the hero to find someone else. An argument breaks out between them as though they are discussing ownership rather than a human being. The heroine steps in sharply and makes it clear that she is not a possession to be passed around. She will decide where she works and with whom. With that, she walks away. Nan refuses to let her leave alone and follows her, ensuring she is safe. Left behind, the hero is overwhelmed with shame. He finally understands that his behavior has created walls around him so thick that no one can truly reach him. Everyone he lets near eventually leaves or is driven away. Nan tries to comfort the heroine, explaining that despite appearances, the hero is not heartless. He believes that one day he will change. Nan apologizes sincerely on the hero's behalf, and she thanks him for always standing by her side. Later, when Nan returns home, the hero confronts him. He asks directly whether Nan is angry because she was fired. Nan answers honestly, the problem is not the dismissal itself, but the unnecessary humiliation. He then asks a question that strikes deeply, whether the hero wants to get rid of her simply because her name is the same as his mother. The hero loses control and raises his voice. At that moment, his aunt storms in. True to her chameleon nature, she unleashes harsh criticism, mocking him and telling him that he desperately needs someone to put him in his place. She leaves in a rage. When questioned later, Nan explains that the secretary made a serious mistake that nearly destroyed an important deal. His mother immediately begins twisting the situation, suggesting that Nan bring the secretary back only to sabotage the hero's work from the inside. She paints a future where Nan eventually takes over the company. Like poison dripping slowly, she feeds these ideas into his mind. Meanwhile, the heroine is haunted by everything that happened. She regrets yelling, fears she truly ruined her chance, and worries she will once again be left with nothing. Refusing to surrender to fear, she decides to act. She bakes a cake, hoping it might soften the situation and give her the chance to apologize. The following day, she goes to the company but learns that the hero is nowhere to be found. No one knows where he went. After thinking carefully, she realizes the only place he could be, the amusement park. She rushes there and finds him sitting alone, lost in memories. When she approaches him, he is startled but relieved. He asks how she managed to find him and admits that he is glad she cared enough to look. He forgives her quickly and agrees to rehire her, surprising her with how easily he lets go of anger. Curious, she asked why he came to this place. He finally shares the truth. His mother brought him there when he was young, and that was the last day he ever saw her. Since then, whenever pain overwhelms him, he returns to this place. When asked what he would do if his mother appeared again, he replies coldly that he would disappear from her life just as she did from his. This answer deeply affects the heroine. She silently vows that she will never abandon him. They spend the day together, and in a moment of closeness, he invites her to accompany him to meet Tanya. She agrees. At the restaurant, Tanya immediately begins belittling her. This time, the heroine does not remain quiet. She responds confidently, refusing to be humiliated. The hero joins her teasing remarks and leaves with her, leaving Tanya furious. Later, the heroine confides in Nan, admitting her fears. Nan reassures her, insisting Tanya is not a threat. The heroine later brings the hero to her home to bake a cake. Chaos erupts when her family misunderstands the situation. Embarrassed and overwhelmed, the hero flees. As she chases him, her mother recognizes his name, triggering memories of the past. A flashback reveals the truth. The hero's mother left not out of cruelty but fear. Diagnosed with Alzheimer's, she believed her illness would destroy her son's life. She confided in the heroine's mother, her closest friend, and vanished. Back in the present, the truth threatens to surface. The heroine's mother forbids her from revealing anything, fearing the consequences. Soon after, the heroine visits the hero's mother in secret, bringing cake as always. She tells her that her son made it himself. The woman cries with happiness and fear. Suddenly, her condition worsens and she forgets everything. At work, political games escalate. Nan's mother attempts to undermine the hero, but the company president forces cooperation instead. Humiliated, the hero decides to prove himself by finding a new investor, Noi, a man who has mysteriously disappeared. He takes the heroine with him on the search. Their journey leads them to a park filled with elderly people. They suspect one man, but he refuses to listen. The hero stubbornly follows him, even copying his movements. The heroine loses patience, snapping at his ridiculous behavior. Elsewhere, Nan manipulates Tanya, planting the idea of investing in the company. He realizes how far he is willing to go, even betraying the hero to achieve his ambition. And with that, the story returns to our hero, standing at the crossroads of pride, guilt, and the possibility of redemption. After exhausting every last bit of patience and physical strength he has, the elderly man finally slows down and agrees to hear them out. Leaning heavily on his cane, he looks at the hero with tired eyes and calmly says that he already knows why they followed him so persistently. He assumes they want his signature for some kind of insurance agreement, and without much interest says he agrees and is ready to leave. The hero freezes in confusion and blurts out a question, asking what exactly the old man is agreeing to. That is when the misunderstanding becomes painfully clear. They explain that they are there because he is believed to be a powerful investor. The old man bursts into laughter, gesturing to his worn clothes and humble appearance, and asks whether someone who truly had money would be living like this. When the hero hesitantly asks if he is Noi, the man shakes his head and says his name is Bach and that he has never heard of anyone called Noi. In an instant, all of their effort collapses into disappointment. The hero is crushed, feeling foolish and defeated. However, the heroine refuses to let him drown in frustration. She firmly reassures him that they will not stop searching and that this failure does not mean the end. She insists that he should not give up hope. Later, when she returns home, she asks her mother to deliver a cake to one of their neighbors. The neighbor reacts warmly, praising the cake enthusiastically. During the conversation, someone casually addresses the woman by name, and that is when the heroine freezes. The name is Noi. In that moment, everything clicks into place. She realizes that this ordinary-seeming woman is actually the wealthy investor everyone has been desperately trying to find. Without wasting a second, the heroine follows her and passionately explains the application idea. Her sincerity and determination leave an impression. She manages to arrange a meeting, insisting that the hero himself present the project. Overwhelmed with excitement, she rushes to tell him the news. The hero is stunned but thrilled, feeling for the first time that his efforts may finally bear fruit. Nan arrives, hears the news, and realizes that the hero has finally reached the goal he has been chasing for so long. When the hero meets Noi, he confidently begins explaining his vision. However, she remains unconvinced. She dismisses him as an immature young man who knows nothing about aging, illness, or poverty. She accuses his generation of caring only about love and appearances, openly calling him childish and naive. Desperate, the hero begs her to listen. She turns away uninterested until the truth comes out. They explain his condition, his inability to recognize faces, and that the application was created out of his own struggle before it was meant to help others. The revelation shocks her deeply. Tears fill her eyes as she realizes the emotional weight behind his work. Moved, she agrees to reconsider and takes the project materials with her, promising to contact them later. The heroine is overjoyed and promises the hero that she will always stand by him. But when she returns home, her mother notices the change in her behavior and becomes worried. She suspects her daughter's involvement with the hero goes beyond work and fears the consequences if he ever discovers the truth about his mother. The heroine decides she will help him succeed first and then quietly resign, disappearing from his life. At work, she presents him with a new idea, a device that allows him to sense emotional responses through touch. The hero is deeply grateful and impressed. Meanwhile, Nan learns more about Noi and confirms that she is real, wealthy, and retired, not a myth. Tanya soon notices how close the hero and heroine have become. Her jealousy spirals out of control. She becomes obsessed with destroying the investment just to ruin the heroine. Sensing danger, the heroine suggests finding another investor, but the hero refuses. He insists he will wait for Noi and declares that the heroine is the only one who has truly stayed by his side. When the meeting day arrives, tension fills the room. Nan's mother prepares to humiliate the hero until the investor appears. Noi apologizes for her delay and requests privacy with the company president. As everyone leaves, Tanya lashes out at the heroine, threatening to ruin her career entirely. Deeply shaken, the heroine escapes to the rooftop, where Nan finds her and comforts her. She admits that she knows how little they think of her, just a secretary, nothing more. Nan challenges that belief and asks what if someone truly cares for her. Before she can respond, the hero calls. She rushes toward him but gets trapped behind a locked door. Nan nearly confesses his feelings, but the hero arrives just in time, takes her hand, and leaves. At home, the heroine's mother reminds her that it is time to resign. Heartbroken, she agrees. Before doing so, she visits the hero's mother and shows her photos, talking about her son's kindness and success. She apologizes, saying she will no longer come. The mother begs her not to abandon him the way she once did. Meanwhile, Nan's mother uncovers the truth. She learns about the heroine's identity, her visits to the church, and the hero's mother. Realizing the power of this secret, she plans to use it as a weapon. The next day, the hero proposes a new application to find missing people. A heated argument erupts when he admits it was created to find his mother. Emotions explode. He lashes out at the heroine, claiming she could never understand loneliness. She breaks down. Realizing his mistake, he apologizes and takes her to the amusement park. There, he realizes how much his life has changed since meeting her. He is on the verge of confessing his feelings when she suddenly disappears. Panic consumes him as memories resurface. When he finally finds her, he holds her tightly, begging her not to leave him again. She hides her fear, accompanies him home, and cries silently. He cannot see her tears and believes they are tears of happiness. Completely trusting, he believes that everything will be fine. The following morning, when the hero arrives at the company, an uneasy feeling settles in almost immediately. The office is already busy, yet one presence is noticeably missing. His secretary has not arrived. At first, he tries to convince himself that she is simply running late, but as more time passes, anxiety creeps in. His chest tightens and an awful thought begins to form in his mind. What if she has left for good? That fear becomes reality when an employee approaches him hesitantly and hands him an envelope. Inside is her resignation letter. The employee explains that she officially quit 2 days earlier. The words barely register before panic takes over completely. He can no longer sit still. Without hesitation, he storms out of the building, determined to find her no matter what. He looks for Nan, and once Nan understands the situation, he joins the search. They split up, each checking different places. The hero searches desperately, replaying every conversation they ever had until he remembers something important. There was a place she once mentioned, a quiet spot she went to whenever she felt overwhelmed. Acting on instinct, he rushes there. When he finally sees her, relief crashes over him so strongly that it turns into anger. He scolds her harshly, telling her how terrified he was, how he nearly reported her missing, and how he is willing to do absolutely anything if she will just come back and work with him again. His words are raw and unfiltered, filled with fear rather than pride. Hearing this, she breaks down and begins to cry, deeply moved by how much he cares. At the same time, Nan returns home only to find his mother sitting with Tanya. The atmosphere is tense. His mother produces a photograph and shows it to him. Nan is confused and asks who the woman standing next to the heroine in the photo is. Calmly and coldly, his mother explains that the woman is the hero's missing mother. Nan is stunned and struggles to understand what this has to do with the heroine. His mother then reveals her theory. She believes the hero's mother sent the heroine to infiltrate the company so that she and her son could eventually take control of it. She makes it clear that she will never allow that to happen. Nan doesn't immediately argue, but the idea plants itself in his mind. Tanya eagerly adds fuel to the fire, twisting the situation further and feeding Nan's doubts with calculated manipulation. Meanwhile, the hero demands answers from the heroine. He asks why she would leave when she is talented, admired by the employees, and deeply important to him. Finally, she admits that she cannot stay because she lied to him. When he asks what the lie was, she hesitates, unable to bring herself to say it. He starts guessing, wondering if she left because she has feelings for him and fears he might not feel the same. Instead of denying it, he does the unthinkable. He confesses that he is attracted to her and wants to be with her. She is completely shocked. She tells him they come from different worlds and that she made a mistake so serious that if he ever discovered it, he would believe she deserved to be fired. He promises that he would never hurt her and begs her to return to the company with him. He insists they can face everything else later. Then, with nothing left to hide, he tells her that he loves her. After a long emotional struggle, she agrees to give their relationship a chance. She returns to the company with him, promising that after 1 week she will tell him the whole truth. Over the following days, he watches her constantly, staying close as if afraid she might disappear again. He senses that something is wrong, that there is an invisible wall between them. Nan's mother confirms his fears, warning him that the heroine is using him and that something suspicious is going on. Conflicted and confused, he briefly agrees to help her get rid of the secretary, but when he later defends the heroine openly, his aunt becomes furious. She begins plotting a far more dangerous plan, one that could permanently remove the heroine from their lives. She confronts the secretary directly, but before things can escalate, the hero appears. He firmly protects the heroine and coldly tells Tanya that he never loved her and never will. He warns her to stay away and leaves with the heroine. Humiliated and enraged, Tanya goes to Nan and blames him for everything. She tells him that if he had confessed his feelings sooner, none of this would have happened. She pushes him relentlessly until he finally snaps and promises to stand by her no matter what, even if it means destroying the hero completely. Soon after, a crucial meeting is held with all major investors. The heroine waits for the hero to present their applications, but instead, Nan enters and announces that he will be presenting in his place. Alarmed, she rushes to the hero's office and finds it in chaos. He is holding a photograph, shaking with anger. Unable to recognize the face in the picture, he throws it at her and demands to know who the woman is. At that moment, she realizes there is no escape left. She tells him the truth: the woman in the photo is his mother. Furious and devastated, he storms out. Nan delivers a flawless presentation, impressing the investors and securing future opportunities. As questions arise about the hero's absence, Nan's mother takes control of the narrative, claiming that the hero and the secretary are secretly involved and neglecting the company. The heroine returns home emotionally shattered, blaming herself for everything. Her mother reassures her, reminding her that keeping the secret was the hero's mother's wish. Meanwhile, Tanya tries once more to manipulate the hero, offering support in exchange for a relationship. He rejects her outright and threatens her. Nan, already furious, learns that his grandfather refuses to promote him, insisting the company needs both him and the hero equally. Feeling perpetually second best, Nan admits he is willing to sacrifice the heroine and create a scandal if it means eliminating the hero. The heroine later messages the hero, apologizing and offering to take him to his mother. He refuses her help and asks for the address, determined to go alone. At the same time, Nan's mother sends someone to abduct the hero's mother, but they arrive too late. The hero finds his mother first. Her illness has progressed so far that she does not recognize him at all. He learns the truth about her Alzheimer's and is overwhelmed with guilt. He vows to care for her and make up for the lost years. Later, the heroine discovers that the hero has stopped going to work. She goes to the company and finds Nan occupying the hero's office. Confronting him, she accuses him of exploiting the situation. Nan responds coldly, declaring that he only cares about himself. Determined to help the hero, the heroine teaches him how to make the chocolate his mother once prepared, believing it may awaken her memories. Exhausted, he collapses. When he wakes the next morning, he finds himself warmly welcomed by the heroine's mother, who insists he stay and eat breakfast with them all. And for the first time in a long while, he does not feel alone. After a period of relative peace, when life finally seems to settle into something warm and hopeful, Nui chooses a quiet moment to sit beside him. Her tone is gentle but serious. She tells him there is something important they need to discuss. She asks about his intentions regarding the company and whether he plans to return soon. She reminds him that he carries enormous responsibility, not only toward the business but toward the people who depend on him. Running away from reality forever is not an option, and she urges him to stop treating everything like a temporary escape. Her words force him to reflect. His thoughts drift immediately to the heroine. He realizes that unresolved problems never disappear on their own. They grow, spread, and eventually destroy everything in their path. If there is tension between them, he must face it now before fate once again takes someone precious out of his life. Seizing the opportunity, he admits something he rarely says aloud. She has every reason not to trust him completely. Because of that, he suggests she send someone loyal to her side to stay with him and keep an eye on him. Without hesitation, Nui makes her decision. She assigns the heroine to remain by his side at all times. She instructs her to stay close, never leaving him alone, explaining bluntly that he is far too kind, too trusting, and far too easy for others to manipulate. The heroine's job, she says, is to make sure he does not abandon the company or sabotage his future by neglecting his responsibilities. The hero, fully aware of the situation, takes advantage of the moment. Turning to the heroine, he admits that while he cannot forgive her for the pain she caused him, he also cannot imagine a life without her. His confession is raw and unguarded. Naturally, emotions ignite and romance slips back into their lives despite everything that stands between them. No matter how much they resist, their feelings refuse to be ignored. Elsewhere, Nan meets with Mita and tells her he has devised a new strategy to seize control of the company once and for all. She doesn't hesitate for even a second. She agrees eagerly, declaring that if his plan leads to the hero's downfall, she is willing to support it completely, no matter the cost. Back with the heroine and the hero, another crisis strikes. When he goes to visit his mother, the nurse informs him that she has disappeared. Panic consumes him. He searches everywhere, his mind unraveling with fear until he finally finds her wandering peacefully in the garden, holding hands with a small child. Confused, she believes the child is her son. But when she looks up and sees the hero's face, something miraculous happens. Recognition flashes across her features, and she suddenly rushes toward him, wrapping him in a tight embrace. He barely has time to process this moment when something even more shocking occurs. His eyesight, which had been failing him, suddenly begins to improve. For the first time in a long while, he can see his mother's face clearly, every detail, every expression. Overcome with joy, he laughs and cries at the same time, unable to believe what is happening. He pulls the heroine into a hug, thanking her again and again, realizing that her presence and support are the reason this miracle was possible at all. He gently convinces his mother to return home with him, promising to give her the care, safety, and love she deserves. Once she moves in, he hires the best medical specialist available to oversee her treatment. With renewed strength, he decides it is time to reclaim his life. He refocuses on his career and tells the heroine openly that he loves her. He even asks her to bring his former secretary back so they can rebuild the company properly. She agrees without hesitation. Meanwhile, Tainaya takes a bold and dangerous step. She purchases a massive number of company shares, securing a powerful position as a partner. Her plan is clear. Once she gains enough control, she intends to humiliate the hero publicly and strip him of everything he built, convinced she will soon rule the company alone. The heroine later updates the hero on what is happening behind the scenes. She tells him that most of the employees have aligned themselves with Nan and no longer seem to care whether he returns or not. Hearing this, the hero quietly admits that he would abandon everything, his title, his wealth, even the company itself, if it meant protecting her and his mother. She stops him immediately, telling him not to act impulsively. She reassures him that she will stay by his side and will never allow anyone to hurt him again. At the same time, Nan and his ruthless mother begin preparing their final move. They schedule a secret nighttime meeting, determined to exploit the moment and permanently remove the hero from the company's leadership. The following day, as the heroine heads to the office, she senses someone trailing her. When she confronts the man, he panics and flees. She reports everything to the hero, who realizes the time for hesitation is over. He storms into the company during the meeting and confronts everyone, revealing the truth and challenging the lies spread against him. The investors are forced to vote on who they believe is truly capable of leading the company. The decision is clear. The hero regains his position, dismantles his aunt's scheme, and is given a second chance. The heroine feels overwhelming relief and joy. The hero vows to return stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. Later, while the heroine is in the bathroom, Orthnia attempts to harass her again. This time, however, the heroine refuses to remain silent. She warns Orthnia firmly that she will no longer tolerate her behavior and threatens retaliation if she dares cross the line again. Furious at being challenged, Orthnia storms off. She soon approaches Nan, exploiting his fragile emotional state. Along with his manipulative mother, she continues feeding his insecurities. She asks for the contact information of a programmer, revealing her plan to leak confidential investor data and destroy the company completely. Blinded by jealousy and rage, Nan agrees to help her. Not long after, Nan encounters the hero in the elevator. Tension explodes between them. Nan accuses him of acting purely out of spite after being rejected by the heroine. The hero, though furious, stays composed. He warns Nan coldly that if anyone dares threaten the people he loves, especially his mother, they will face consequences they are not prepared for. Meanwhile, Orthnia meets with two programmers and persuades them to release sensitive data. The following morning, disaster strikes. The company's application data is leaked publicly. Shares collapse overnight, partnerships dissolve, and no one wants to be associated with the company anymore. When Nan learns the truth, he confronts Orthnia in a rage, accusing her of destroying everything he worked for. She twists the situation, telling him this chaos is actually his chance to rise, become director, and erase the hero completely. She offers him money to compensate users and salvage public trust. Disgusted, Nan returns the money and declares he wants no part in their schemes anymore. He decides to go to his grandfather to fix the situation and help the hero. At his grandfather's place, Nan finds the hero already there. Suspicion fills the room. Nan's project bears a striking resemblance to the hero, yet only the hero's data was leaked. Under pressure, Nan explodes, denying any involvement. To calm the situation, the hero shocks everyone by announcing his resignation. He claims Nan is more capable and deserving of leadership and proposes a full investigation into the data breach. When the heroine hears what happened, she rushes to support him. Nan joins them, pretending that he and Tainaya will help manage the crisis and speak to the media. The hero believes briefly that Tainaya has changed. He is wrong. During the press conference announcing his resignation, the hero names Nan as president. When Nan is invited to speak, Tainaya suddenly steps forward instead. She reveals that she owns a controlling share of the company and declares herself co-director. She then offers the hero one final humiliation. She will restore his position if he fires his secretary. He refuses instantly, stating he no longer cares about the company at all. Later, Nan speaks privately with the heroine. She remains distant. She admits she knows exactly who is responsible for the disaster but has chosen not to expose them. Overcome with guilt, Nan confesses that for once he acted selfishly. He abandoned her and allowed himself to be manipulated because he couldn't let go of the company. Now he understands the depth of his mistakes. The hero decides to start over completely. He plans to build a new company from the ground up with the heroine by his side. When Noi hears what happened, she supports him fully, cancels her contract with Nan's company, and prepares to introduce the hero to foreign investors. Finally, the hero's mother begins to remember her past. Overwhelmed, she breaks down but initially refuses to explain anything. He comforts her, promising that he understands and asking her never to hide the truth again. At last, she reveals everything: how his aunt manipulated her, how hatred grew after the hero's birth, and how she was threatened with her child's life. Terrified, she had no choice but to disappear. And for the first time, the hero finally understands the full weight of everything that was stolen from them. At the same time, the company struggles to survive the aftermath of the data breach. Nan secretly meets with the programmers responsible for leaking the confidential information. During this tense confrontation, the truth finally comes to light. The programmers reveal that they were manipulated by Thenia, who deliberately deceived them into believing that Nan himself had authorized the leak. Shocked and furious, Nan realizes he has been framed in a way that could destroy his reputation forever. One of the programmers, a man named Ace, quickly realizes the advantage he now holds. Sensing Nan's vulnerability, he demands an enormous amount of money in exchange for his silence. He threatens that if Nan refuses, he will personally inform Nan's grandfather that the data was released under Nan's supposed orders. Cornered and overwhelmed, Nan begins to feel pressure closing in from every direction. His fear intensifies when his grandfather explicitly warns him not to place any trust in Thania, making Nan realize just how deeply tangled the situation has become. Not long after, the hero receives a video message sent by his grandfather. In it, the older man announces an urgent company-wide meeting and demands the presence of every employee, including Thania. Hania attends the meeting with no idea what is about to unfold. Confusion fills the room until the grandfather arrives and declares that the internal investigation into the data breach has been completed. He calmly announces that the person responsible for leaking the information has been identified. The atmosphere instantly shifts. Thania is visibly shaken. Her shock quickly transforms into rage as she turns on Nan, accusing him of acting behind her back and questioning how he could move forward with an investigation without consulting her. It becomes clear that she never wanted the truth to surface. Losing control, she announces to everyone present that she owns half of the company and therefore has the authority to do whatever she wants. She boldly declares that no one can challenge her decisions. Her outburst stuns everyone in the room, including Nan and his manipulative mother. In her arrogance, Thania goes even further, openly admitting that Nan and his mother were foolish to trust her. She reveals that she had planned everything from the very beginning, deliberately exploiting them both as stepping stones to seize full control of the company. Before anyone can respond, disaster strikes. In the middle of her declaration, the grandfather suddenly collapses. Panic erupts as it becomes clear that he is suffering a heart attack. Nan reacts immediately, rushing to get him medical help and accompanying him to the hospital. When the hero arrives and learns what has happened, Nan is overwhelmed with guilt. For the first time, he truly understands that all of this chaos began because of Thania's ambition and manipulation. The heroine notices Nan's emotional collapse and approaches him with unexpected kindness. She comforts him, telling him that he is not to blame, that Thania used him just as ruthlessly as she used everyone else. Her words finally allow Nan to confront the truth without drowning in self-hatred. Meanwhile, the hero speaks privately with Nan. Setting aside old resentment, they agree to reconcile and stand together again, not for power or pride, but for their grandfather's sake. Soon after, the doctor informs them that the grandfather is now stable. However, he explains that the older man has a serious heart condition and must be treated with extreme care going forward. Both the hero and Nan are stunned to learn that their grandfather had been ill for far longer than they ever knew. This revelation strengthens their resolve to unite against Thania and protect both their family and the company. As they leave the hospital, Nan finally tells the hero everything. He admits that he never knew Thania's true history and that she was secretly responsible for most of the damage inflicted on the company. He confesses that when he uncovered the truth, he felt trapped and powerless, unable to act because she had already cornered him through manipulation and threats. Unbeknownst to them, Thania is already preparing her final move. Determined to completely destroy the company's reputation, she begins spreading panic among shareholders and users alike. Meanwhile, Nan devises a plan that could still save the company and returns briefly to check on his grandfather. Taking advantage of the chaos, Thania calls an emergency meeting with the shareholders. Rumors of bankruptcy have spread rapidly, and users of the company's applications are protesting and demanding refunds. Though she is not officially president, Thania confidently claims she can resolve the crisis. She urges the shareholders to vote for her leadership, insisting she alone can restore stability. As the votes begin to swing in her favor, the doors suddenly open. Nan enters the room alongside the hero. Cameras flash as the meeting turns public. In front of the press, the hero steps forward and takes responsibility for the chaos. He publicly apologizes and then begins recounting the entire story from the very beginning. Calmly and clearly, he reveals Thania's role in manipulating events, leaking data, and orchestrating the company's downfall. He presents undeniable evidence to support every claim. Thania's composure finally shatters. Surrounded by journalists and investors, she collapses under the weight of her exposure. As the truth spreads, public opinion rapidly turns against her. Because the hero and Nan stood together, trust slowly begins to return. They are welcomed back into the company, forgiven by employees and investors alike, and granted another chance to rebuild what was nearly destroyed. Noi also renews her support, choosing to invest in the company once again. After careful discussion, it is decided that the most rightful person to lead the company is their aunt, someone who had worked tirelessly for its success in the past. Despite everything, the hero chooses forgiveness and offers her a second chance. This act of mercy deeply affects her. Overcome with remorse, she resolves to make amends. She goes to the hero's mother, sincerely apologizes, and brings her back to live with the family. Determined to atone for her past cruelty, she commits herself to repairing what she once tried to destroy. With the company finally stabilizing, the hero turns his attention to what matters most. Wanting to complete his happiness, he proposes to the heroine. After everything they have endured, she finally accepts, choosing a future with him. And so their story comes to a close, one shaped by betrayal, forgiveness, resilience, and love.